Guys, I haven't seen you in a while, and today we are going to be reading The Boy in a Dress by David Walliams. So yeah, let's get started. Well, actually, I'm going to read till chapter 2, so yeah. So, chapter 1, No Hugging. Dennis was different. When he looked in the mirror, he saw an ordinary 12-year-old boy. But he felt different. His thoughts were full of colour and poetry. Though his life could be very boring, the story I'm going to tell you begins here. In Dennis's ordinary house on an ordinary street in an ordinary town. His house was nearly exactly the same as all the others in the street. How do I start? One house had double glazing, another did not. One had a gravel drive, other had crazy paving. One had a actual cavalier in the drive, another of actual usher. Tiny differences that only really pointed out the sameness of everything. It was all so ordinary. So extraordinary just had to happen. Dennis lived with Dad, who did have a name, but Dennis just called him Dad, so I will too. And his older brother John, who was 14, Dennis found it frustrating that his brother would always be 2 years older than him and bigger and stronger. Dennis's mum had left home for a couple of years ago. Before that, Dennis used to creep out of his room and sit on the top of the stairs and listen to his mum and dad shout at each other until one day that shouting stopped. She was gone. Dad banned John and Dennis from ever mentioning them again. Soon after she left, he went around the house and took down all the photographs of her and burnt them in a big bonfire. But Dennis managed to save one. The solitary photograph escaped the flames, dancing up in the air from the heat of the fire. Before floating through the smoke and onto the hedge, the dusk fell. Dennis snuck out and retrieved the photo. It was charred and blackened around the edges, and at first his heart sank. But when he turned a light, he saw that the image was as bright and clear as ever. It was wonderful. A younger John and Dennis with Mum at the beach, Mum wearing a yellow dress with flowers on it. Dennis loved that dress. It was full of colour and life and soft to touch. When Mum put it on, it mentioned that summer had arrived. It had been warm outside after she had left, but it hadn't really been summer in their house again. In the picture, Dennis and his mother were in swimming trunks, holding ice cream cones, vanilla ice cream, smeared out the smiling mouth. Dennis kept the photo in his pocket and looked around secretly every day. His mum looked so aching and beautiful in it, even though her smile was uncertain. Dennis stared at it for hours on end, trying to imagine what she had been thinking when it was taken. After Mum left, Dad didn't say much, but when he did, he would often shout. So Dennis ended up watching a lot of television, and especially his favourite show, Trisha. Dennis had seen the Trisha episode about people with depression and thought maybe his dad had that. Dennis loved Trisha. It was a daytime talk show where ordinary people were given the opportunity to talk about their problems or the yellow abuse about their relatives. And it was all presided over by a kindly-looking but gentleman woman conveniently called Trisha. For a while, Dennis thought life without his mum would be some kind of adventure. He stayed up late, eat takeaways, watch rude comedy shows. However, as the days turned into weeks and months turned into years. He realized that it wasn't an adventure at all. It was just sad. I'm just going to see on chapter 2. Okay. Oh, God. What page am I on? Dennis and John sort of loved each other in the way that they were supposed to be. They were brothers. But John tested the love quite often by doing things he thought were funny, like sitting on Dennis's face and farting. But farting had been the Olympics, had been also at the time of writing taught this, which I feel is a shame. He would have won a number of gold medals and probably received a knighthood from the Queen. Now, reader, you might be thinking that as Mum had left, the two brothers would be brought closer together. Sadly, it only drove them apart. Unlike Dennis, John was full of silent rage with his mum for leaving and agreed with Dad that it was better to mention her again. It was one of the rules on the house: no talking about Mum, no crying, no hurting, no hugging. This one was full of sadness. Sometimes he misses her so much that he cries in bed at night. He tries to cry as quietly as possible, as he and his brother shared a room but don't want John to hear. But one night, Dennis sobs woke John. Dennis, why are you crying for? Demanded John for his. I don't know. It's just what I just wish someone was here. Well, don't cry, she's gone and she's not coming back. You don't know that. She's never coming back. No, stop crying. Only girls cry. The nurse couldn't stop crying. The pain ebbed and flowed inside him like the sea, crashing down on him, almost drowning him in tears. He didn't want to upset his brother, though, so he cried as quietly as he possibly could. So why was Dennis so different, I hear you ask? After all, this boy lived in an ordinary house, in an ordinary street, in an ordinary town. I'm not going to tell you why yet, but the clue might be in the title of this book. Okay, guys, thank you for reading with me. I'm Alex, and I'll see you next time. Bye.